What is going on YouTube and Spotify? This is the Just BSN podcast, and today we have tons of drama, tons of shit that we have to go over. And we'll get to the spicy shit here in a little bit, but we're gonna start with some more positive things. But before we get into all that, Andrew, how are we feeling after the last 48 hours have gone by and all the shit we're getting ready to get into today?
I don't even know, to be honest with you. Emotions are just everywhere right now. Like we just went through a massive whirlwind in the last 48 hours that I don't even know what to think anymore. My head hurts. Like so much has gone on that I can't even fathom to think of what to say or what to think anymore right now.
Yeah. It's things are getting really spicy, and it's been a lot of doom and gloom here in Cleveland for the last 48 hours. And again, we'll get to it. I just want to start with some positive news. So we're going to start with some Cavs talk, and then we'll get into the spicy shit. But the Cavs, after a nice win last night, I believe it was last night, correct? Win over who was it? The Pistons. Oh yeah, that's right. GARRETT.
Yeah.
Darius hit the game-winning three at the end of the game from 31 or 32 feet. It was a nice shot, went cleanly in, beautifully made, and it was like, okay, cool. Cavs have a few days off, and then we're gonna get back to it. And then in about 9 or 10 days, we're getting into the All-Star weekend, so we're getting close to that. But the NBA trade deadline happened today. It ended at 3 p.m. today. And my gosh, the last week there's been some really crazy trades going on between the Doncic trade, Jimmy Butler going to Golden State last night. You had quite a few others today as well. And one of them the Cavs actually got involved in. And the Cavs have actually had a really good trade. This is like an A-, A+ type of trade for us. The Cavs have gotten DeAndre Hunter from the Atlanta Hawks in exchange for Caris LeVert, Georges Niang. I believe it was 3 second-rounders and 2 pick swaps. So I'm not sure how those pick swaps went. But since we don't have any first-round picks until 2031, it was nice to know we didn't have to give up that pick because we gave up all of those picks for Donovan. Obviously, as we know, which the Jazz don't even have now. I think they traded them to somewhere else. I forget who. I forget where they traded that to. I think it was like Phoenix or some shit. I don't know. Somebody has a shit ton of our picks. But the important thing is the Cavs got DeAndre Hunter, who was the 4th pick of the 2019 NBA draft, just ahead of Darius Garland. And this is a guy, fun fact, back in the day when I was writing for Big Play, I actually wrote one of my first articles about him, about Hunter, about how I thought he fit the Cavs best in terms of what they needed, with his size, his shooting ability, coming out of Virginia. He was really highly sought out, and he's had a fantastic year. I think he's averaging about 19 points a game. And I think he's shooting just under 40% from three. Big body. I know his wingspan is like 7'1" or 7'2", but I think he's like 6'8" or 6'9". But he is a legit wing, and that is the thing I think that every Cavs fan can agree that we desperately needed. And you kind of got that from guys like Dean Wade, but when he's out, you miss a lot of size on that front court in that spot. And so it forces guys like Strus and Okoro when he's available again, and quite a few others to try to take that role. And it just does not necessarily work out for our benefit. And so, Andrew, the Cavs actually made a really good trade. I am beyond excited about him. I think we mentioned him about 2 weeks ago on one of the earlier podcast episodes. about because there was somebody else I think on the Hawks that was sort of linked to us, and I was like, honestly, I would rather get Hunter because the guy that was starting over him was last year's first overall pick, and I'm not even gonna say his name because his name is insane.
Zachariah Rishashir.
Yes, that guy. So he wasn't able to start because of him, so he was a sixth man, but he was averaging almost 20 points a game. In again shooting like 40% from three. He's a fantastic player, and this is exactly what the Cavs needed to, I think, put themselves above where they needed to be to play the likes of Boston, who we struggled with against them the other night with Tatum and Jaylen Brown really just bringing it to us, not being able to defend them without having guys like Donovan and Garland and Strus be the ones to defend them. And it made no sense. And I was like, man, we need a fucking wing. Like, please, Kobe, go out and go get a wing. And they did. So, Andrew, how are we feeling? I know you went to that Cavs game versus Boston. You saw it firsthand. So you got to see what I'm trying to talk about here. But DeAndre Hunter is a Cleveland Cavalier, man. How do you feel right now?
I feel great, man. This is a perfect addition to the team. You instantly insert him into the starting five. It gives Strus, who just came back from injury, barely a month ago.
Yeah.
And you give him some time to ride the bench, get some minutes, get some flow back into his game that he's been missing. And like you said, dude, this is a guy who the Hawks got Rich Ashir in the first pick of last season's draft. And as a rookie, he's been balling out. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Kid's really good. But Hunter's just sitting on the bench averaging 20 a game. That's a guy who the Cavs could be like, instead of starting Okoro or Dean Wade or Max Strus, this is a guy that can instantly slot into that starting five.
Yep.
And that's another guy on the starting five that can average another 20 points per game, along with Garland, along with Donovan Mitchell. I mean, Evan Mobley learned his lesson from that Celtics game and balled out against the Pistons for 30.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy who makes an instant impact from the jump, day one.
Yes.
And makes this team immediately better than where they were legit 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Against the Celtics. Because now, that guy, like, if you had DeAndre Hunter against the Celtics, that game goes a lot differently.
A lot differently, especially with Mobley playing as bad as he did that night. It would have really helped getting 20 points from a guy like Hunter.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it replaces those missed points that Evan Mobley had or missed out on because, again, Mobley just. And don't get me wrong, this happened to everyone that night. Yeah, like, no one could buy a shot. Not even on the Celtics, nobody could buy a bucket.
He just had a bad night. It is what it is. Because he came back and had 30 points against Detroit. So.
Yeah. So it was just a fluky bad night. Like, everyone has a bad night. And I mean, he was just getting bodied. He was just getting, and again, it's one of those things that it just happens. Like, you can't expect him to be perfect night in and night out. But again, he made up for it against the Pistons. Said, "I'm not that weak little boy." Drops 30. But going to that Celtics game, it was just from the jump. Like, no one in that building knew what was going on because even on the Celtics side of things, like, nobody could hit a shot. Like, at the end of the first quarter, like, if you were to look at the scoreboard and look at the shooting stats, both teams had barely not even 20% field goal percentage and barely, I think the Celtics had like 10% from three or like 5% from three, and the Cavs had like 0% from three.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we hit a three in that entire first quarter. And
I'm not sure we did either.
And it was like, what the hell is going on? Like, neither team is even at 20% field goal percentage. Like, this game kind of sucks. Like, and this is a nationally televised game. Like, nothing's going on. Nothing's happening. Nobody could buy a bucket. I think Drew Holiday missed a wide open layup on a 2v1. And that was crazy to see. But again, it was just one of those nights where the Cavs were taking great shots. Just nothing was just going in. And you can't really blame him for that. Like those are nights that just happened. Like if you watch that game, it's like going into Dick's Sporting Goods and they have like that little plastic on the basketball hoops. That's what it looked like for both teams. Like,
yeah, it really felt like that.
You couldn't hit shit. Like
No.
nothing was going in, and it took damn near until like the third quarter and the fourth quarter where shots were starting to fall. But they started falling for the Celtics more than they started falling for the Cavs. And for the Cavs, the shots were falling way too late.
Yeah, I mean, it was too little too late for them. Yeah, for sure. We were down, I think, like around 20 at one point. Like it was pretty bad.
At one point, yeah.
And yeah, they just couldn't really fight out, out of it. They certainly tried, and I think the final score was like 115, like 107 or something. So
yeah,
it wasn't
down
like
by
a blowout.
7, yeah.
Like it was not a blowout. It was just Mobley, especially his shot just looked flat. Like every time he put up a three, it just, you knew it wasn't going to go in.
Yeah.
And even guys like Garland missed a bunch of floaters that he always just like automatically makes. So like it was just one of those games. I think the Cavs came out a little jumpy because they knew that this was a bigger game. And I think the Cavs just need to bring themselves back down in big games like that and just understand, like, when you're at home, like, yeah, you're going to get the jitters and you're going to have that adrenaline, and you just got to learn to keep it, because once you get to playoff time, it's going to be 10 times bigger. You guys already know this by now. You guys have had the experience. This is the time to exceed that. But, the Cavs obviously come back. They have a nice game against Detroit. Honestly, kept it close for way too long. They kind of screwed around at the end because they had control of the game throughout 3 quarters. And then the fourth quarter, Cade Cunningham just comes out of nowhere, and he dropped, I think, like 38 that night, which he is. Don't get me wrong. Cade Cunningham is a baller. He is a dog. Everybody has known this, and he's finally getting to that all-star, level that he was totally capable of getting to. And thank God for Garland, because we didn't have Donovan, which I think if we had Donovan, I don't think that game would have been nearly as close. But again, you add a guy now like Hunter, who is probably not going to play until Monday. I think we play tomorrow. He'll be able to play Monday against the T-Wolves, which will be at home. So that'll be nice for him as well. He'll get a chance, he'll get a chance to be in front of the home crowd, and we'll see if he starts or not. I don't know. I mean, I think he should, especially with Dean Wade still out. I know he's still dealing with his knee. Okoro, he's getting there, but I think he won't be back until after All-Star break. So I don't expect either guy to be back until after All-Star break. And that's, I think, how the Cavs should do it. Yeah. But not only do you bring in Hunter, you get rid of some dead weight. And, LeVert has had some really good moments with this Cavs team over the last few seasons. But he came off that wrist, thing that he had, and he has looked so flat. He was 0 for 12 for his last 12 shots. He went 0 of 8 last night with a start in place of Donovan. And it just makes you wonder. It's like, dude, when you got guys like Jerome who are consistently starting to put up like 15 points a night, you got to give guys like him those minutes instead of LeVert. And so what this does now, getting rid of LeVert and really getting rid of Niang, ever since the playoff series last year, I was beyond done with Niang, and the fact we kept him shocked me. And he's had some decent moments this year that I think were better, but he always comes back and does something really, really stupid. And he had a really stupid foul towards the end of this past game against Detroit that got Cade Cunningham a free 3 free throws because he fouled him at the 3-point line.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was dead weight. It was time. I know the guys loved him in the locker room. I know the media liked him because he was a great guy, and I'm not going to knock him for being a great guy. But as a player, and for a player that we need on this team, Hunter is a 10 times out of 10 a better result of this trade. And you didn't have to give up Tyson. You didn't have to give up Strus. You didn't have to get rid of Okoro. You didn't have to get rid of Sam Merrill or Amani Bates. Any of these younger guys that you still want to see what they have. But to keep Tyson, to keep Strus, to keep Okoro, and keep that first round pick. That's huge. And now this does give you the chance to elevate guys like Jerome, guys like Sam Merrill, who are starting to shoot better finally. He had a nice night last week where I think he scored like 27 points. It was like 9 of 13 from 3. Tyson can get more minutes too, and even Craig Porter Jr., especially in this very next game, I could see Craig Porter getting some more time as well. So it's just going to be nice to see other guys get a chance to play some. And the other thing that people aren't really talking about is we have 2 more roster spots available. So we are going to see what's going to happen in the buyout market, because guys like Ben Simmons, Clint Capella, and I'm sure a few other guys are going to get bought out, and the Cavs are going to be able to jump on those because it's going to be cheap, and it's going to continue to keep them under the tax. And that's another big reason why the Cavs did this trade, because it keeps them now under the luxury tax so they don't get fined. And it just made sense in every way. And this is just, it's a dedication to Altman saying, listen, you guys are balling this year. This is our year to go for it. I'm with you guys. Let's go for it. And he made it happen. So, I mean, what else can you say? You know, it was just a nice job out of him to go out and get a guy that fits this team, fits the role that we need him to play, and he is going to do some fantastic things here as long as he stays healthy.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, is as long as he stays healthy, this tremendously helps the Cavs down the line this season. It definitely helps boost you up for the playoffs. And I get a lot of the guys who just did press conferences last night said that they don't need to do anything. Everything's fine. Right. They want to keep the locker room together.
Right.
That, again, I completely understand that. But also, too, I think they understand that you have to get someone to help you get over that hump. And this is the guy that gets you over that hump. And like you said, you got 2 spots open still. You can still go out and get, Ben Simmons or Clint Capella or both. And both guys are very good defensively. Ben Simmons is great at rebounds and assists too. He averages 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Clint Capella gives you another guy who can get 10 plus boards a game. So those 2 guys, they keep you under the tax, but they help that bench with rebounding and assists, and they just help out with other parts of production that doesn't seem to have filled on the bench. Because again, Ty Jerome gets points. Yeah. Craig Porter can come in. Craig Porter and Ty Jerome are similar players. They can get to the basket, get you some crafty layups.
Sam Merrill's a 3-point dynamite, man.
Sam Merrill has finally found his form again and is making threes left and right all over again.
Strus does what he does. And the one thing that those guys don't do is get rebounds or a lot of assists. And that's where you bring in Clint Capella and Ben Simmons as guys who can get boards and, move the ball around. So I think that will help complete the bench and make the bench more formidable. So that way, when you do take out the starting 5, you don't have to rely on Niang to get rebounds or to make shots. You don't have to rely on Caris LeVert to jack up the most craziest things that you've ever seen in your life, because for some reason he likes to shoot over 2 people at the same time and tries to be a star, and it just doesn't work out. And they don't play good defense. They get into foul trouble a lot. Now you can get 2 guys on a buyout contract. That can make a little bit of a difference. Again, you don't need them to be big-time points. They don't have to be. You just need them to do the jobs that they do well. That's rebounding and assisting. Yep.
So it's like Dennis Rodman with the Bulls. He wasn't a guy who scored a shit ton of points. He didn't average 2 a game, but he also averaged 20 rebounds a game.
Right, exactly. That's what you need. You need rebounding. And, I mean, you go back to the Boston game.
Yeah.
How many offensive rebounds and second chance, even third chance opportunities did Boston get? Because it was way too many. I had to turn the fucking game off at halftime, or just before halftime, because I was like, I can't fucking watch this shit. every time it was bouncing to Horford or bouncing to Tatum, and then they would pass it out to the little white boy, and he would just chuck up threes and knock him down every time. That kid pisses me off, by the way. He's so good of a shooter, but he pisses me off because he's good. Like, it's like, come on, quit hitting those shots. So it's one of those frustrating things that the Cavs need to have for that second unit. But also, guys like Mobley and Allen have to be physical. And Allen got ejected last night from having to set a very wonderful pick after he got slapped in the face. And it was just nice to see him have a little edge, like like, don't fucking push me around. Like, come on. And even the way that he reacted, like after he did it, he was like, I'm good, I'm not gonna fight. I just wanted to set a tone and send a statement like, hey, you're not going to slap me around. You're not going to push me around like that. Otherwise, this is what's going to come. But if you bring a guy in like a Clint Capella or even like a Ben Simmons, you can have guys like that as well that are sort of those enforcers that, I mean, there was talk about Niang having to be the enforcer, and Niang's just too fucking nice. Like, I'm sorry, but
Niang, he's too nice.
Like, if anybody's going to be the enforcer, it would have been TT, but like, you can't really get him minutes beyond getting ejected. Like, that's the only way he's getting solid minutes. So, it's such a better fit, man. And like, again, I know guys like Niang and guys like LeVert too, but dude, LeVert was just playing so bad. Like, after that Boston game, I was like, I'm done with this kid. Like, I'm good. And then last night he fucking topped it and was even worse. Yeah. And it's like, you're not losing on having a guy on the bench that, that can bring the ball up with that, next unit. And then if you bring in a guy like Ben Simmons, he can also do that with also being like a 3 guard pretty much.
Yeah.
And so like,
and he's an enforcer.
Yeah. So I'm really curious to see what the Cavs do in the buyout. We will see how that goes, but it's not going to hurt, and it's only going to bolster this team even more. And this team has had the best fucking record in the league for a reason, and they just added to this. Like, this is exactly what we did in 2016. Like, when we got rid of Verjao and said, hey, we're going to go after Channing Frye because we needed shooting from a stretch 4 that wasn't, Love, that, that can rebound and still play defense. He fit it. And it was a key note. It was a key trait for us, at least that year, to get us over the hump, just like it was the previous year before that with J.R. Smith and Amon, So it's like, these trades do play a factor, and it sucks getting rid of continuity, but the guys cannot be totally mad about what we got for him. If it was just picks or some guy that's going to be like the 8th guy off the bench, then it would have been a lot worse. But it's not. Like, this is a guy that's going to start at the 3.
Yeah, for sure. And also going back to the Celtics game, we were only out rebounded by 2 rebounds the entire game. It was 53-51 in a rebound game. They had 1 more offensive rebound and 1 more defensive rebound. So, but a lot of them, they did have a lot of second and third chance opportunities. And that's what helped them capitalize. They missed their shots, and we just didn't rebound well. But all I got to say more on this is just the fact that we filled a massive hole that we needed, which was a 3-and-D type of guard, a wing player who could not only score points but play good defense. And that's what you got. You got a great wing player and DeAndre Hunter, and he slots in perfectly. I know he damn well will work well with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, as well as Mobley and Allen. And I think that's a crazy starting 5 already right there.
It is.
And again, this helps you get guys on the bench to come off the bench and be really impactful. Again, Strus can now become more impactful off the bench. Ty Jerome can be impactful off the bench. Craig Porter, who just came back, like you said, yesterday, came back and was immediately impactful off the bench.
Even Tyson can now get more,
and
more
Tyson
minutes.
gets more minutes now because now he
I
doesn't have to
love
fight
his
Niang.
game, man. Yeah, I love his game.
Yeah, he doesn't have to fight Niang for minutes. So a lot of Niang's minutes would probably go to Tyson. And yeah, I like Tyson's game too. He's a really good player. So I think the Cavs did right here. I know we talked about the Cavs, and they did interviews the other day after the game. They said they don't need to make moves. They're fine where they are. They have a good thing going on, but just because you have good things going good for you so far, I mean, look at the Warriors. When they lost to us in the NBA Finals, they won 73 games, and they had to go and get KD to finally get over that hump. Yeah. And we probably would have went back to back because we probably would have won 2015 if we had a healthy Kyrie Irving and if we had Kevin Love. We probably beat the Warriors too in 2015.
Yeah.
So you're saying back to back Cavs championships, and then they have to go out and get KD to finally get over that hump.
Yeah.
And so this is what the Cavs are in the same position. They had to get somebody to help them just get over that little bump in the road. And, now you're going to see a Cavs team that's a lot more efficient on the offense and a lot more efficient on defense. And again, the bench becomes more efficient because your two dead weight guys don't have to play 20 minutes a game or 15 minutes a game. And those minutes can go to the people more valuable. They can go to Sam Merrill. They can go to Jalen Tyson. They can go to Craig Porter Jr. They can go to other guys who are actually more impactful. Yep. Ty Jerome's minutes will even shoot up more, and he'll get damn near starter minutes at that point. So the more impactful guys now get better minutes because now you don't have to use the two dead weight players.
Yeah, and I think an important note too, before we move on, is I guess Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter also played at Virginia together, so they've been buddies forever. Yeah. So that's going to be continuity right there, and the Cavs get to have a guy that's going to be like, hey, how is he? And he's going to be like, dog, you guys are in for a treat. He's a dog.
Hey,
his length is going to be so helpful. I think, I genuinely think this now puts the Cavs in a really good spot to actually contend against Boston in the East, and against really anybody else that's going to give us problems that has, and obviously OKC and Golden State and even the Lakers, dude. LA really did a good job, not only getting Luka, but also getting that Williams kid.
Yeah.
And really building around LeBron and Luka. And I'm curious to see how they bounce back. I'm curious to see how that team plays now. And the league is going to be a lot different now for this next half. So it's going to be fun. Trade deadline is one of the most fun times, at least in the NBA until the playoffs start. So it's nice to always do that.
Yeah. Also some positive news too. You mentioned Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter playing together at Virginia. Well, they were Cavaliers when they won the NCAA championship. Now they're on the Cavaliers again.
Yep.
Just saying. Championship Cavaliers won an NCAA championship. Now they're on the Cavs again. So does that do these Cavaliers get an NBA championship? Adding DeAndre Hunter and Ty Jerome. So you could see two. They could be
never know.
Two-time chance with the Cavs.
Yeah, you never know. So all right. Well, I mean that's gonna do it for Cavs talk. You ready to get into the spicy shit? The shit that we've been talking about for the last 48 hours. The doom and gloom that has been going on. So Browns talk, of course, as it should be. I mean, anytime you think of doom and gloom, you think, oh, they're gonna talk about the Browns. This isn't quarterback talk.
Nope.
This isn't coaching talk. This isn't really GM talk, but let's be honest, our fucking GM deserves to get fucking fired. Myles Garrett came out on Monday and tweeted out his request for a trade.
Yes.
Now, the thing about this, before we get into the ranting part of this, is the fact of the matter is the Browns have him under contract for the next 2 seasons. He is still owed a good bit of money, and if they were to try to trade him right now, it would cost us about $40 million in dead cap. I think it's like 36 or 39 million or something like that. So it's not quite 40, but I'm gonna round up because But point is, it's gonna cost us a shit ton, and it's a little premature. But to even go further, Miles has been going through Radio Row at the Super Bowl, talking more on Rich Eisen's show, going more in depth as to why he wants to go and what he believes in. And man, it's about to get ugly in a few different ways. And just want to kind of know your thoughts early on, which last 48 hours, because the radio shows have been terrible. Everybody has been having a lot of mixed emotions. Fans have either wanted to rebuild or pretty much tell Miles to suck it up. What's your take right now? Because I'm telling you right now, man, whether we trade him or not, it's going to be a very tense next 2 to 4 months. I would say even more tense than it was with Baker a few years ago.
Yeah, so my take on him going on Radio Row, especially the Rich Eisen's show, is the fact that when he announced his trade, I was like, okay, dude, I completely understand. You're the best edge rusher in football right now, and most likely could be winning his second Defensive Player of the Year award 2 years in a row. If it doesn't go to Trey Hendrickson. But I was on board with it. I was like, you know what? He deserves to be on a contender. He deserves to be a winner. Because a guy of that caliber, it's like watching LeBron James. I wasn't mad when LeBron went to Miami because it's like, dude, this dude deserves to go somewhere where he can win championships and be a contender every year. And I get the Browns front office didn't make the best of promises to him, I'm sure. Because I don't know how we don't know how those talks went over the course of the end of the season to now, of them meeting and what was promised by Barry and the Haslams and what was shown or something. Because it almost sounded like it was another rebuild to him, most likely. That he just said, "Listen, I don't want to do it all over again. I don't want to rebuild again. I want to win." And him going on the Rich Eisen show and damn near calling out the Browns and almost basically calling out the fans too. Like, we stuck through him through his crash that he had. We stuck through him during the incident with Mason Rudolph. We were there for the injuries. Like, we were there for, and it's almost like he's trying to burn bridges.
Yeah, it definitely feels that way.
It feels that way. Now you're seeing everyone on the verge of like, listen, if you want to talk like that, you can go to the fucking Tennessee Titans for all I care and suffer for the rest of your career, or the Carolina Panthers and suffer for the rest of your fucking career,
or Oakland or any of these bottom of the barrels, even the Giants. Like, go, if this is how you want to go down, then fine, go down there, because we're not trading you to a division rival, and we're not going to trade you to the Eagles
or the
Chiefs or the Bills unless they give us a fucking package, like Khalil Mack haul,
Unless, like, if you're going to like Kansas City, I'd rather be getting Patrick Mahomes in return. Like, that's what I need in return. I don't give a shit. You give me the best of the best. But my thing is like, if you want to burn bridges, cool. You forget that the Browns have all the leverage. So they don't have to grant you your wish of sending you to a contender. They could send you to the depths of fucking hell for all they care. As long as they're getting 4 first-round picks, 3 first-round picks, they're getting their best players available to help bolster our roster more. Listen, if that's what you want to do, then go for it, and Denzel can follow you. Because you guys want to burn bridges? Burn those damn bridges, baby. We will send you to the pits of hell. And you can suffer even worse. So, I was all for Miles saying what he said in his article or in his letter. But once he got into Radio Row, like the whole mentality shifted. And I don't know if this is a ploy for the Browns to do better this offseason. And this is kind of like his way of saying, like, hey, I actually don't want to leave, but this is my plea to the Browns. Like, please do something. Make this team better work. And he said it on Hard Knocks, and we're going to talk about it here in a second with David Njoku. But he said that this team's a couple pieces away. And hell, even getting a big name quarterback can change those things in an instant. Yeah. Look at Washington. They drafted Jane Daniels and damn near made a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So why would you want to run away if you even said it yourself that you guys are that close? And you're just going to run away from it? Like, that makes the situation, and I get it, he consulted LeBron on it, but that makes the situation worse than LeBron because LeBron actually had a dog water team. So, like, it made sense for him to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for you to do it when you're that close. Like, LeBron had fucking goddamn Dion Waiters and he had Sasha Pavlovich. Like, he had the reasons to fucking leave.
Yeah. And like I really do want to know what the Browns told him in some of these meetings that made him sort of start to feel this way, or if this was sort of like he's had this feeling for quite some time. I heard after 2022 he was starting to get this way, but he was like, I'm gonna stick it out.
Yeah.
This will be Watson's like first like big showing and all that. So there was more to look forward to. The defense played well. You had a good year. It was just one really bad year because of the quarterback play.
Yeah.
And if you change the quarterback play and you get it right, this again becomes now a 9 to an 11 win team again, and you're fighting for a chance for a playoff game. Like, you're not, even if you go to the Bills or even if you go to the Chiefs, well, the Chiefs are always going to make the playoffs as long as Pat Mahomes is there. But, I understand he wants to be great, but you can't be great without a good quarterback. And I know you know that, Garrett, but it's not bulletproof. Like, it's not a for sure fire thing wherever you're going to go. If you go to Washington, who's to say that the Commanders are going to have a 9-6 year next year, or 9-7? Sorry. What's to say they're either going to make a playoff run? You don't know how these teams are going to go. It's just like how we had it this year. We were not supposed to be a 3-win team, but it happened.
Yep.
So, and here's the thing too, and this will be a little bit controversial to say, I guess, because of this. I don't want to get rid of Garrett, but if you're going to get rid of Garrett, this is the draft to replace him in, because there are some damn good DNs in this draft. And when you see, teams like the Chiefs and even the Eagles have the guys that they have, they're all built through the draft for the most part. So the Browns can still go after a really good DN and fill that spot, and then have probably one more drafted and even one more brought in. Like, it's easier to replace those guys. It's not easy to replace a quarterback. So I understand what he's trying to say, but I just feel like if he leaves the way that he wants to leave right now, I don't think it's going to end as well for him as he thinks it will. And I think he's just being a little premature. And it was nice to hear Njoku today talk and be like, hey man, like, we're not that far off, because we've been saying this all season long. Like, we don't have to tear it all down and completely rebuild. Like, we can do what a Washington did. We have the ability to do what Washington did and then come back. The only thing that's tough about our position compared to what to Washington's is the division that they're in. We're in the hardest division in the entire league. So maybe Garrett just wants out of the AFC North. Who knows? But this is how the game works, man. Like, you can't get out of this just because things are getting tough. I get these years have been tough, but dude, you've been here since, what was it, 2016? I think he got drafted.
2017.
So he's been here for some of the better times that this team has been in. A guy that deserved to leave and he still didn't until he retired was fucking Joe Thomas.
Yeah.
Okay? Ask him about what he wanted to do. Even Batonio has been here for all of that. He was there during Joe Thomas's last years.
Yeah.
So it just makes no sense. And again, the Browns do not have to trade him. The only way that they trade him is if he tries to sit out and just not be part of anything, which he's probably going to do if he doesn't get traded. And I am curious how he's going to do that. Because if he is really a team guy, like he was trying to portray himself to be over the last few seasons, then you better show up for your guys regardless and still play up to the standards that you're going to play at, because it's your legacy on the line. So when you're doing stuff like that, it's not going to help your legacy. It's just going to help people think you're all about you. You are not about a team. All you care about is personal success. I get wanting to be great, but there's ways to be great in this league.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like you said, there's certain ways to do this, and the way he's doing it makes him look like a bad guy. Because you made yourself all about the team all these years, and now all of a sudden you just want to up and leave when one season gets a little bit tough. Like, I get it, but and this is where I'm gonna get into the David Njoku shit. David Njoku, not only on Radio Row, which I thought his interviews were great, and especially too, it was even better because he did him shirtless, which is peak David Njoku. But David Njoku is making a plea for him to stay because he's like, dude, why do you want to leave? We're so close. We're right there, and you just want to give up? Like, is that what you want to be known as the guy who just gave up? Guys like Joe Batonio never gave up. Guys like Joe Thomas never gave up. Nick Chubb wants to stay and not give up. Hell, he requested a trade 3 years ago, David Njoku, and he stayed, and he goes, I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
So he's like, you just want to give up? It's like, imagine. It's like, you felt the energy of the Browns making the playoffs twice, and you felt that energy and how good it felt because we didn't get a lot of this for 20 years. And now all of a sudden you just want to walk away from that?
Yeah.
Like, it's been 25. We spent 25 years and made the playoffs twice.
Yeah.
And the crowds have been electric for every single moment of those moments.
And guess what? This community backed you when they had every chance not to. Between the suspension, between the fucking car wreck, between all of the injuries, all the fucking stupid shit that you've done over the years, this community has embraced the fuck out of you. You are a part minority owner of the Cleveland Cavs, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
You have jerseys, Myles Garrett Cavs jerseys that get sold at the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Yeah. It is baffling that you can say, oh, I love this community. I love what they've done for me, but
let me just give up on them.
But I just want to go win a Super Bowl. It's about me. And it's like, man, you are portraying a bad image for yourself that's not going to benefit your legacy. And again, I know wanting to be great. I know wanting to win. Brother, no team, no fan base wants to win more than us. We are hard on you guys because we want to win so badly because we've been so close it's so far for so many years.
Imagine what a Cleveland Super Bowl would do to this city.
Oh, Myles Garrett would get a statue in the middle of the square. Like it would happen, or
the whole team would,
or it would be the first thing built at the new place where they're gonna have the new stadium. Like it would just be a part of it. And instead you want to do this.
And the thing is, you'll be compared to LeBron James. Like it'd be like, I submitted this legacy, and guess what? The Cleveland sports scene has a chance to do the funniest thing ever. The Cavs could win an NBA championship. Yeah. The Guardians are building right now to be damn near a World Series winner.
Absolutely.
And if you get the right pieces into Cleveland, the right quarterback and a couple more pieces, hell, this city could go 3 for 3 in championships. Do you know what that would do to the city? The city of Cleveland wouldn't exist anymore because it'd be burnt down. Everyone would be drunk year round. Like, no one will leave the city because everyone's too drunk to move because we just won 3 fucking random championships.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Like,
The world would end.
The world would be over. Cleveland would be a hole because it'd be like
it would be a crater in the earth. Yeah.
They don't have to send the armed guards to stop us because we'd be going crazy.
Oh my god! It'd be like Fallout 4. Just dead man.
But like, imagine what a Super Bowl would do to the city, man. Like, and the thing is like, it would be you, Myles Garrett, that gets
the helm of it. Yeah,
that's the top dog of it. And if you just go and the Browns do something great without you,
it's gonna look really, really bad on you.
It's gonna look really dumb on you when you decide to leave and the Browns finally do something great, like make a damn Super Bowl, and you're gonna be like, oh
what
my god,
fuck?
I just left them and now they go to a Super Bowl? Yeah. And you know what we would all say? You were the problem the entire time.
Yeah.
You're the one holding us back. You and Deshaun Watson are on the same level now, baby.
I mean,
and do you want to be on that level? I don't think so.
And look, I'm not gonna say that our problems don't also revolve around the likes of Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely do not trust Barry as much as I did even a season ago. You know, there are some things that we have wrong, and I know that he doesn't want to go through a total rebuild. And the only way that we go through another rebuild is if we have another 3-14 season. Yeah. If that is the case, everybody's going to be gone anyway. So it's like, it is, you know, it is what it is. But like, to go out and make an actual like personalized with your signature press release and give it specifically to Adam Schefter and say, tweet this out for me, please.
Yeah.
I mean, that is LeBron James-esque. That is next. But like that is almost up there with the LeBron Miami decision.
Or the KD. KD, was it what was the magazine he was on where it was like him in like the jungle or whatever, and it looked like the next steps or whatever.
Yeah.
Going when he went to Golden State, like when you were like legit Game 7 with the Warriors with OKC, and then you jump ship to fucking Golden State, like bro, you're 1 game away with the Thunder, and you just ditched them to go. Like you had what it takes to beat the Warriors, and you decided to pussy out and just join them. Yeah. That's what you're doing, Myles Garrett. You're pussying out when you're right there.
Yep, you want to join the likes of the Eagles or San Fran or the Bills or the Chiefs or, you know, even Washington. And honestly, dude, if he does get traded, I just hope we send him somewhere packing that he's not going to have to play us for even more than maybe once in a year, or just not at all.
Send him to Washington and give us Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, like that's going to happen.
That'd be fantastic, but
yeah, I mean, you definitely like if you do trade him, it's got to be multiple first-round picks, and then a slew of other picks or even players. And you know, there was talk from Ward even where he was like, you know, I have to think about if Myles goes if I want to stay. Now, I don't think Denzel would be quite as crazy to go off because he is a Cleveland-born kid. Like he's from Nordonia. Like he's literally from the area. So like it would be harder for him to move. But to be honest though, like with his history of injuries, like I can see Ward still being traded at some point within the next year or two, especially with his contract. Like it's just a fact. Like this is how the league works. But you know, the Browns have an opportunity to really do some good things in this draft. They have a really good shot to bring in a nice vet quarterback like a Kirk Cousins and bring him back with a guy like Stefanski, who he did so well with before he came to us. It can be the thing that gets us back into the playoffs, and that's all you can ask for as a player. Like once you get there, then it's up to you to overcome adversities, to overcome like what Washington did. Washington was a wild card team that was on the road every game that they played.
Yep.
And they still got to the point where they got the shit beat out of them by the Eagles, but it's the Eagles. And they beat the Eagles earlier on in the year without Hurts. So you knew that the Eagles were going to come into that game with a little bit of motivation. And it was just one of those things where the team was just more well-equipped for the moment. And that is what it is. But the Browns are not far off. And I totally agree with Chief with what he said. And listen, if Miles wants to go at this point, I'm not going to fight him on it. Because I don't hate Miles or anything for wanting to get out. But at the same time, it's just such a odd 48 hours of just events and quotes that we're hearing. It's only going to get worse, man.
Yeah.
And that's my fear.
Well, and I think what hurts the most is the way he's going about it. And the way he's going about it is why we're feeling the way we are feeling right now. Because if he just left it as the Adam Schefter tweet, then it's like, okay, cool, whatever. I understand. Like, I get your frustrations. I completely get it. But to go to the Super Bowl and go on Radio Row and just start talking shit, that's why you wonder why everyone's pissed off at you. You wonder why we're now like, okay, cool. If you want to go, then go to a shit team. Hurt your legacy more. But like David Njoku said earlier, if you get yourself a nice, good quarterback and you fill a couple of these holes, which there aren't many on this team, a lot of it's just a quarterback and the offensive line. You fill a couple of these holes, brother, you're back to being you're back to an 11-win team.
Yeah, possibly.
And hell, maybe even more. Because the defense is elite.
And you don't know. Well, and also you don't know how this division is going to keep going. I mean, obviously the Ravens are who they are, and I do think the Bengals will be better. But if they lose T. Higgins and they lose Hendrickson, or hell, even if they keep Higgins but they lose out on Jamar, like it's going to play a big factor.
Yeah.
And as long as they can, not give Burrow the O-line that he needs and kind of deserves. I mean, dude, Burrow could be a very significant guy within trades within the next 2 years if things don't turn around in Cincinnati. And that can all totally fall apart. And as soon as the Ravens lose Henry, Lamar's only going to get older and he's going to lose a little bit of speed. And he's just not a playoff winner. Like the Browns are going to have a chance, especially with the Steelers still being as mid as they are. You don't know what they're doing at quarterback right now. You're hearing no on Russ, and you're kind of hearing no and yes on Fields. So it's like you don't really know what they're doing. Yeah. So you have a chance to really make a little bit of a comeback. It's just, I think a lot like fans, I think Garrett just doesn't trust Barry, and I don't disagree with him on that, but we don't have a fucking choice unless we literally fire Barry, which I would love to fucking do, or at least have Barry bring in somebody to consult him on the scouting and on drafting, because the only thing that Barry really seems to do well is restructure and structure deals for players. Yeah. That's about it. So, yeah, it's going to be a rough next few months, Browns fans, and I want you guys to prepare for that. And I know we've kind of already started to because of the quarterback stuff with Watson. With Watson, he's kind of out of the frame right now. Like he's out of the picture. I don't think Watson ever steps foot in Berea ever again.
No, he won't.
Unless he's cleaning out his locker, which honestly somebody will probably do that for him and just ship it out to him in Miami because they don't want him even in the state. But we're not far off. It's just right now there's just a lot of doom and gloom. There's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of negativity once again. And
The fortunate thing is I do think we have a good staff in terms of coaching that can possibly prevail. They just need to let Stefanski take hold of his ship again and really, really show up for once. And then if he doesn't, then okay, that's when you do move on from him. And then, yeah, it does become a rebuild. But there's one more chance at this. And if they can at least get back to normalcy and get themselves back and even in a wild card, you're at least giving yourself a chance to get there. And that's all you can ask for in this league.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if you can get yourself to the wild card, then you have the next couple of years to make it to the Super Bowl. And that's all you need. It's just like that glimmer of hope.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, listen, we made it back to the wild card. Hell, we even won the wild card game. We made it to round 2. But we ended up losing in round 2. And we might have lost to like a really good Buffalo Bills team or a really good like Kansas City team.
Right.
But if we stick together again for another year, we could beat those guys. And we could have the chance to make it all the way. But it starts off with the NFL draft in April. Can you get things right? And we talked about this on the other pods recently too, is when it comes to the quarterback situation, I'm sure they're consulting Kevin Stefanski daily of what he wants. And I'm sure they're asking some of the locker room too, the wide receivers and the tight ends, and they're asking the running backs, like, listen, which guys, what's your top 3 quarterbacks? Like, which guys do you want here? And I'm sure they're asking the players, like, listen, we all want you to weigh on this. We want Stefanski to weigh on everything. We want Tommy Rees to evaluate everything. Like, we want to make sure we get this done right. Who do you want to be the next QB here in Cleveland? Do you want it to be Shadur? Do you want it to be Cam? Do you want it to be Jackson Dart? Who would you be the most confident in? And right now, I mean, there was a video of Cam Ward. They're like, who do you think the Browns should choose in order to make it? And he said Cam Ward. He said himself, like,
well, yeah,
obviously. But the thing is like, does he help you get to that next level? You know, fans want Shador. Some fans want Cam. We're all mixed together. We all want either of the 3. And, you know, it's up to Stefanski. It's up to Tommy Rees. It's up to the receivers, the tight ends, the offensive line. Like, what do you guys want? Do you guys want this guy? Do you want this guy? Do you want this guy? Like,
as long as it's not Milrow, I'm fine.
I don't think
that's the only guy that I refuse to even get close to.
I think Milrow hurt his stock enough to where he's not even going to be like a top round 3 pick either. He's going to be like 4 or later. Wow. So he hurt himself, and I think everyone saw the true Jalen Milrow and the Senior Bowl, and it's basically just another version of who they said, Malik Willis. He's like Malik Willis 2.0.
Right.
So again, it's one of those things where Jackson Dart looked like like a legit like Josh Allen-esque QB, or he looked like Jackson Dart looked amazing, as from the reports and what the videos are showing. And even during the Senior Bowl game, they said Jackson Dart looked like that dude. And Jackson Dart made himself go from a round 3 pick to a damn near top 10 pick just in that Senior Bowl alone. Yeah. And there's sneaky ones too, guys. There's still sneaky guys out there like a fucking Will Howard.
Yeah.
So there's sneaky QBs, you know, if you don't get your guy. Will Howard's still available.
Exactly.
But it's a consensus of what they want to do. And again, Andrew Berry's not going to handle this draft himself. It's going to be a lot of what does Kevin Stefanski want?
Right.
What does Tommy Rees want? You know, what do the defensive players want? What does the defensive coordinator want? Like, what do these guys want?
Yeah.
Do they want to go and get Abdul Carter on the defense? Do they want to go and get Travis Hunter as a wide receiver? You know, should we skip out QB on the second pick? Should we move up from 33 back into the first round to get QB or something? Like, I'm sure there's a lot of questions being asked around that stadium and around the front offices. So everything's going to be decided on in the draft. And if Kevin or if Myles Garrett wants to be moved, it's going to be on draft day.
Yep.
So
that's my thing. Yeah.
So we got time.
Yeah, we do. So we'll see if things end up getting patched out. For all we know, this could wind up being him getting paid a cajillion dollars from the Browns, and they say, "Hey, we're going to pay you, and you're going to be a part of this team's upcoming because we don't want to rebuild." So we'll see how that goes, but it's going to be a rough next few months. Buckle in, guys, because it's not going to get any prettier. It's only going to get a little worse. We're only going to hear more and more quotes and rumors. So buckle in. But that's pretty much going to do it for me. I don't know if you have anything else to say. But
nope.
It's just been a rough few days, and at least the Cavs news today has been positive. So at least we have something to be excited about. Thank you, Cavs. Thank you so much for existing and not sucking. Thank you, Dan Gilbert, for being an awesome owner.
And we also got Guardians coming up in the next couple of weeks, spring training.
Yeah,
so
we're
that's
close.
More positive news there.
Yes, sir.
You know, it's funny. Before we close out, I told my dad, it's like, why can't just Dan Gilbert buy the Browns?
I think everybody wants Dan Gilbert to buy all three and just be like, just be it. Just be the guy, please.
please, we pray for you.
build your dynasty here. I don't care. Just get everybody involved.
Yeah.
God.
That'd be great.
Yeah. All right, guys.
Do you want to do a Super Bowl predict?
Oh, yeah, sure. Why not?
Because Super Bowl Sunday.
Yep, real quick.
So who do you got? Chiefs or Eagles?
I actually got Eagles. I think the Eagles are going to do it this time. I think their offense is a lot better with Saquon. I think Barkley's going to win MVP. And I see this still being close. But the Eagles have a nasty defense, and I think if they can get to Pat Mahomes a little bit, make him uncomfortable, he's going to make some mistakes, and that's how you beat the Chiefs, because the Chiefs have a solid defensive front. They're going to play well, but Saquon is a really hard guy to bet against. So I'm going Eagles.
I'm going Eagles too, man. Just because Saquon's a monster, dude.
And we just want to see somebody different win besides the three-peat. I don't want to see the three-peat.
That's also the second reason why I just don't want to see the three-peat. Oh, and if you use Bet365 for betting, they moved Saquon's odds from -125 to +100 for him to score a touchdown. So
hell yeah.
Take those if you want to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. We'll see y'all next week, hopefully with some more positive news. Hopefully some Guardians news. You never know.
Hopefully so, yeah.
We'll see. All right. We'll see you guys next week.